to The Hypnotist, the show that gives you inside access to cutting-edge hypnosis with real clients facing genuine issues. Brought to you by the hypnotherapist demanded by celebrities, CEOs, and even royalty, Adam Cox. These recordings took place live from Adam's clinic in London's world-famous Harley Street. So, get yourself comfortable and enjoy today's episode of The Hypnotist.
Take a deep breath in, and as you breathe in a feeling of calm and relaxation. And as you exhale, just allow your body to release any stress, tension, and anxiety on the outward breath. That's right. As you breathe in, continue to breathe in more relaxation in a resourceful way. And as you exhale, just allow that tension to continue to leave your body, taking you deeper and deeper relaxed. That's right. Deeper and deeper relaxed. And I want you to use the power of your imagination to imagine that you are able, just in your mind, to go on an adventure. I want you to imagine that you can float up out of your body, so your physical body remains there in that chair, but your imagination can float up out of that body. In fact, it goes out of your body and you can look down and see yourself in that chair, but your imagination can continue floating upwards. Imagine you going through the ceiling, through the roof, into the sky, just your imagination. Feel how free it feels to be like a bird and just flying away. And you can see houses, cars, people beneath you. And I want you to fly towards the coast. Keep flying. You can go as high up as the clouds or slightly lower. Whatever is the right height for you to just enjoy that freedom. Continuing to breathe in that feeling of resourceful relaxation. And as you exhale, allowing tension, stress, and most importantly, anxiety to leave the body. That's it, deeper and deeper relaxed as you continue to fly. And perhaps you can imagine what it would be like to feel a breeze on your face as you glide through the air towards the coast. And you continue, you arrive now over countryside, finally getting to the coast. And yet you continue to fly and glide, seeing the sun glisten off the surface of the waves. Perhaps every now and then you could see perhaps birds in the sky, or perhaps sea life. Maybe you can see fish under the surface of the water, perhaps even a whale, as you continue to fly over the surface of the sea. And I want you to get a sense of freedom, of that freedom to be able to just go wherever you want to go. And up on the horizon, I want you to see an impressive military ship. Now, potentially, this is such a large ship that it has an area for aircraft to land, or perhaps a different type of military ship, but it's a large military ship. And if you can imagine seeing that there in the distance on the water, just let me know by nodding your head. That's right. And I want you to continue to fly towards this military ship. And as you get close, I want you to imagine that as you touch the surface, as you land at wherever is most suitable on this particular ship, just feel that you are in your body, but you're there on that ship. Perhaps you can feel the movement. Perhaps you can see the sea. And I want you to get a sense of you are now on this ship. And I want you to make your way to one of the mess rooms. But this is the best of all the mess rooms. Just for officers, perhaps the captain. Because we're tapping into a higher part of your unconscious mind. Perhaps the one that is the wisest and most organized. the one that can influence other parts of your subconscious mind. And I want you to go to that mess room, but it's completely empty. So you've got the whole place to yourself, and I want you to find a comfortable chair. Get yourself comfortable on that chair. And very soon I'm going to count down from 10 to 1, and I want you to imagine feeling deeper and deeper relaxed on that chair. Feeling like your arms are getting heavier, legs are getting heavier, eyelids are getting heavier. That's it. As you feel comfortably on that chair in that mess room, knowing that you are on a ship very far away. 10, just feeling like your eyelids are getting heavier and more relaxed, letting go of any tension and stress. That's it. 9, muscles around the jaw, cheeks, even your tongue starts to just loosen and relax. Because tension has a purpose. You need it to stand, move, walk, but here you are, lying on a very comfortable chair in a mess room, on a ship, out there in the ocean, and you don't need tension right now. So allow that tension to be released. Because sometimes, by releasing tension, you can give your muscles a break. Because when people are stressed and anxious, they hold on to tension that doesn't need to be there. 8, feeling that relaxation now spreading into your neck and your shoulders, becoming aware of any tension. Because when muscles are tense for so long, you habituate. You just accept that that is a normal. And it's only when you scan your body to try and detect tension that you realize it's possible to release that tension now. And as you do so, you realize it wasn't normal to hold on to that tension. And it's a much better normal to let it go. And as you let it go, feel that relaxation now spreading down into your arms. 7 and then 6, going deeper and deeper relaxed. That's it. Just imagine that if there was any tension, even in your fingers, that you can let that go too. Imagine that all the tension in your arms has been released, so much so that your arms would be floppy, almost like the limbs of a puppet without any strings. If someone was nearby and lifted your arm up, it would be all loose and limp, and if they let it go, it would flop back there onto the chair. As you breathe in, 5, feeling 50% deeper, deeper, deeper relaxed. Breathe in that resourceful, relaxing feeling so that even your internal organs can relax. Sometimes people breathe in a shallow way, and that isn't a natural way to breathe. If it requires effort to breathe, you're doing it all wrong. And just allow your body to breathe in, and as you release it, allow it. Allow that oxygen to go in and the carbon dioxide to go out, making your cells become energized with the potential of what a future could be like once things are organized in a way for different parts to play to their strengths rather than their weaknesses. Because as you're there on this ship, I want you to imagine what running this ship would be like if someone on the ship that was excellent at making food or excellent at doing the laundry was suddenly responsible for complex military decisions or perhaps navigation. And I want you to get a sense that the ship only works well if the right roles are given to the right people. And if your unconscious mind accepts that, just let me know by nodding your head. That's it. As we go deeper and deeper, relax. 4, feeling that relaxation going into your gut. And for many people, the gut is the second brain, the source of intuition, but also giving us clues as to when we feel almost like a sixth sense. When something's not right, we feel it there in the gut, and allow that tension to be released. Now, that's it. 4 and 3, going deeper and deeper relaxed, going all the way down into your legs. And again, noticing that your legs are feeling heavy and loose, all limp, that's it. And then 2 and then 1, even your toes can relax. Think back to the last time you truly relaxed your toes and allow that to happen again now. And I want you to imagine what it would be like if you fell asleep there on this chair in this empty mess room, and allow that to happen now, just in your imagination. And imagine you've been asleep for maybe half an hour, and that part of your brain, when the frequency gets to a certain level where you can imagine vividly, when your eyes start to move up and down and left and right, creating images in your mind, imagine that REM sleep part is kicking in right now, so much so that you can dream that you are on the same boat. And I want you to see yourself there in that chair, but you are now in your imagination as someone else, just a different version of you, looking at the part of you fast asleep in that chair. And if you feel like you can walk around and move around that mess room, just let me know by nodding your head. That's right. And I want to talk to that wise part, the diplomatic part, the part that really knows what's going on. Because you know that something isn't right here. You know there is a part of you highly resourceful, highly resilient, able to handle stressful situations. And you also know there is a part of you that gets highly anxious, even through something as simple as going to the supermarket. And I want to communicate to the part that knows what's going on, the wise part, the part that knows what all these different parts are doing. And if I'm communicating to that part, just let me know by nodding your head. That's it. And I want you to leave the mess room, and I want you to walk to the bridge, because whichever part I'm communicating to, they temporarily are the captain of this boat. They are in control of all the decisions, and they delegate whatever they're not experts at to whoever is within the boat. And if you're now on the bridge, let me know by nodding your head. That's right. And I want you to summon two different parts, but we're going to do it one step at a time. I want you to summon the part that is responsible for the panic attacks. I want you to perhaps speak into the tannoy and call them up to the bridge, because there may be 50, 100, or 150 different roles and responsibilities on this boat, and it's the single part responsible for panic attacks and severe anxiety that we want to come up to the bridge. And I want you to imagine calling that part, and when it arrives on the bridge, just let me know by nodding your head. Okay. And you can talk just as you could in real life. And I want you to just very briefly describe how this part looks like.
Big black blob.
A black blob. Okay. And I want you to thank that part for what they are doing. I want you to thank them specifically for their positive intention. That you are hugely grateful that they are doing something for you that they believe to be right. And as you communicate to that black blob that you are grateful for their intention, just let me know what its response is.
Just standing there.
I want you to communicate to that part. Communicate that although you appreciate that it has a very positive intention, that you need to communicate some of the pain and some of the difficulties that this positive intention is causing in your life. How it makes you feel, what it stops you from doing. Because it may be that this part doesn't know. It is so transfixed and obsessed with its positive duty that it doesn't realize the consequences of this intention. And I want you, through either verbal communication or projecting images from your mind to its mind, the consequences of this positive intention. And it's almost like you can stream months or even years worth of memories straight from you to that part until it really understands the consequences of this positive intention. And I want you to see if you can let me know what you think this part is responding to all this new information about the consequences of that positive intention.
A bit sad.
See, I don't think this part knew. I think it was trying to do something really important for you, and it didn't realize all the pain, the anguish, the stress, and all those other things that have been happening. And I want you to ask that part, if it's possible, if I can communicate directly to that part. And if it says it's okay, just let me know by nodding your head. Okay. But we're going to go to a different room to do this. We're going to go to the ops room. So I want you to imagine that both you and this part, before I communicate to the part, are going to go to the ops room. And when you're in the ops room, just let me know by nodding your head. That's right. And I want you to imagine shifting your focus, your attention, so that rather than inhabiting this wise part that knows everything that's going on, I want you to go inside this black blob. And when you're there, so that I'm now communicating to that part responsible for this severe anxiety and the panic attacks, just let me know by nodding your head. Okay, firstly, thank you for allowing me to communicate directly with you. I'd also like to say thank you for that positive intention. I know you're trying to do something very important and very beneficial. And I don't think you knew of the consequences of that positive intention. What do I call you? What's your positive intention? How are you trying to help?
To make everything perfect.
To make everything perfect. And that isn't a small task. Which means you have very, very big goals. Is it okay if I call you perfection? Okay. Now this goal of yours to make everything perfect, why is that important?
So I'm not seen to be doing anything wrong.
Yeah.
Or making mistakes.
Yeah. Because just one mistake isn't perfect. And if just one thing isn't right, it's not perfect. Did you realize all of the anxiety that you were causing by having this quest for perfection? I'm wondering if you realize that perfection is an illusion and that we can have a much more noble goal. Because in order for something to be perfect, it has to improve. And if it has to improve, then you measure the improvement by the amount of progress that has taken place from where it was to where it begins with. And I'm wondering if you would be happy with a promotion, because for so long you've had this role, this responsibility of perfectionism. And sometimes you just notice everything that isn't right. And suddenly that can make you feel stressed, make you feel that you have to change something. It has to sometimes feel overwhelming because so many things just aren't as you want them to be, so many things aren't perfect. And we know that as a side effect of this very noble goal, it's creating huge amounts of anxiety and perhaps even panic. But I'm wondering, now that we know that this isn't a viable possibility, if you'd be happy to be promoted to a higher rank, a rank responsible for progress. I'm wondering if you'd be happy to be the chief, perhaps even the head of progress. Because if we accept that perfection is an illusion, but that the intention behind what you're doing is to improve things, to make things better, then I'm wondering if that increase in responsibility to have high standards and to focus on what can be done for tiny incremental amounts of progress, not just in one area of the life, but in all areas of the life. What could be done to be just a fraction of a fraction percent healthier? What can be done to have a fraction of a fraction percent more fun and enjoyment, or more balance? And I already know that you know all those areas of the life that aren't quite perfect yet. But here's the fun thing. If things aren't perfect, that means they can be improved, and you can be responsible for coming up with ideas for progress in those different areas of this life. And if that sounds like it would be an interesting promotion that you would love to take on board, just let me know by nodding your head. Because I think you've already proven to be very influential. You've proven to be a level of control, because high standards are so important to you. But what if progress became the way that you achieve those high standards, rather than perfection, which simply creates an impossible goal, a sense of overwhelm and anxiety? And if you're happy that progress will be the new vehicle to achieve those very high standards, and that you accept that sometimes mistakes and errors and failures are essential, because what you learn from those mistakes enable you to make even more progress in the future. If you accept that progress will be your vehicle to raise standards, and that mistakes and errors are essential to learn how to make things even better, just let me know by nodding your head. That's right. I'd like to congratulate you on the promotion, and I want you to see if it's okay if I now speak to that wise part. And when I'm in that part, jump inside that version of you. I want you to go back out to the bridge and now call the resourceful, caring part. I want you to call to the bridge the part that can handle a crisis very, very well. The part that was there perhaps when it needed to be in control, when you needed to have an unflappable mind to do what needs to be done. And when that part arrives at the bridge, let me know by nodding your head. Okay, and I want you to invite that part also into the ops room. So now we have the wise part that I'm communicating with right now. We have a part responsible for progress, and we have a part responsible for being highly resourceful and handling a crisis. And I want you to ask that part responsible for handling a crisis if it's okay if I speak to that part directly. Yeah. I want you to climb inside that version, that part. And if I'm speaking to that part, let me know by nodding your head. And what do I call you? How do you like to be referred? What's your positive intention? What do you do? What's your role on this ship?
See things that need fixing immediately.
Is it okay if I refer to you as the fixer? You are the one that immediately, the moment you hear those alarm bells, you're on the bridge, you're in control, and you're not there for very long. But when you are there, you do whatever needs to be done when it needs to be done. And when the crisis is over, you're more than happy to hand back control to whoever you need it. And if that sounds like it's you, just let me know by nodding your head. That's right. And I'm wondering if you would like to help fix even more things. Because at the moment, you've only been fixing environmental things, things happening outside of you, other people, situations. But I'm wondering, with such an incredible skill set to prioritize what needs to be done and what requires your resources most, if you'd be willing for an increase in responsibility. So you don't just fix situations, you fix perhaps the processes on this ship. There are many parts, roles on this ship that would work better as a team than they do as individuals. There are parts on this ship that need to be healed and need to be sent to the sick bay. There are parts on this ship, roles on this ship, that also have got good intentions but are in the wrong job. And I'm wondering if you would be interested in that responsibility to evaluate what is really going on in this ship, so that those parts that need to be healed get to heal, and those parts that need to work as a team, as a crew, work together as a crew. And the parts that are in the kitchen when they should be in a different role, you help put them in the right role. Because perhaps you already knew that this part that used to be called perfection was in the wrong role. Perfection isn't a viable strategic outcome, but improving things is. And I'm wondering if you'd be happy to fix other roles on this ship, just as this part that used to be called perfection perhaps is now called progress. And if you're happy with that increase in responsibility, let me know by nodding your head. That's right. And I want you to speak to the role formerly known as perfection and just ask if they're happy now to be called progress. And if they are, just let me know by nodding your head. That's it. There is 3 people in this ops room, 3 parts. The wise part, you, the fixer, which is going to be able to fix way more than you were fixing before. And now the part called progress. And I want you to all hug, like a group hug, to signify that all 3 parts are all in agreement agreeing that perfection is now progress and that you'll be fixing more than just situations. And the wise part, that will know if you're really fulfilling your role or not. Because there is a brig on this ship, and anyone that can't follow this new responsibility could either be demoted or perhaps sent to a different part. But that won't be necessary. That won't be necessary because you have got pure intentions, are very good at these things, and by defining these roles to make it actually winnable will enable you to do things that you've always wanted to do, but now have the freedom to do it. There is no micromanagement here. You have a responsibility, not a task. And I'm communicating to the part that likes fixing things. You are free to fix things in the best way that you feel how. And communicating to the progress part, you are able to come up with ideas for progress and to activate the resourceful parts, perhaps somewhere else on the ship, to actually make progress in those areas. What previously was frustration and anxiety will now be inspiration and motivation. And the wise part will give you feedback and information if you are going outside of your remit. And if all three parts are happy to work together to make progress, to improve the quality of everyone working together in harmony, just let me know by nodding your head. That's it. And now I want you to step into that wise part. And the wise part allows progress and the fixer to go back to wherever they came from on the ship. But the wise part can see that there is a new spring in their step, a new enthusiasm for their role, and a feeling that this time they can actually do it properly. And now that wise part, I want you to walk back to the mess room, seeing that version of you there on that chair, fast asleep, and I want you to climb inside that version of you, reintegrating with the conscious part. And then you realize this is just a thought within a thought, a dream within a dream, and actually you are in that chair listening to my voice in the present right now. In a few moments' time, I will count from 1 to 10 to awaken you. You will awaken feeling highly resourceful, feeling that these roles in wrong positions are now free to do what they really want to do in a way that can help you. No more feelings of overwhelm, because anything that isn't quite right is now not a problem or a failure. It's an opportunity to make even more progress. And you've already made so much progress. So imagine how these parts working together can make even more progress. You will awaken feeling resourceful, optimistic, looking forward to the next few days and weeks ahead. Starting to count to awaken you. 1, 2, 3, waking up. 4, 5, 6, more alert. 7, 8, open your eyes, open your eyes. 9, 10, wide awake, wide awake, wide awake.